Chemical compounds are composed of atoms that are held together. How are they held together? That's called a chemical bond. Chemical bonds come about due to attraction between oppositely charged particles, the electrons and the protons that compose the atoms. Okay, all atoms contain protons and electrons, and it's attractions that cause compounds to form. There are two kinds of chemical bonds, ionic and covalent. Ionic bonds are going to occur between metals and nonmetals, and they involve the transfer of electrons. Let's try that again. Transfer. So ionic bond, transfer of electrons. We learned last time, I don't remember what day, it doesn't matter, why am I talking about it? We learned that metals tend to lose electrons when they undergo chemical changes. So the metal will lose its electrons, it gives those electrons to the nonmetal. So the metal forms a cation, the nonmetal forms an anion. Now we have oppositely charged particles and they're attracted to each other. So that's an ionic bond. When you have an ionic compound in a solid state, it is composed of a lattice, which is a regular three-dimensional array of alternating cations and anions. I think we've got a picture here. So here, this is an illustration of what the ions are doing in sodium chloride. They line up so that they maximize attractions and minimize repulsions, and they just keep going on and on. There are no discrete molecules here. It's just one big pattern, one big array. Here's sodium atoms, and the sodium atom is going to give an electron, it's going to lose an electron and become a sodium ion. This electron has to go somewhere, and it's going to be picked up by the neutral chlorine atom. Now it has an extra electron, it has a negative charge, and then we have this negative charge and this positive charge, and they're attracted to each other a lot like magnets, and so they stick together. Those are ionic bonds. Covalent bonds, co is a prefix that means sharing. So here we have the sharing of electrons. This is going to happen between two or more nonmetals. Metals aren't good at sharing electrons. They're like, no, you just take it. And then after it's given it to the nonmetal, then the nonmetal becomes negative and the metal's positive, and it's like, well, now you look really attractive to me, and then they're together. But the nonmetals want to form negative ions, and so they're not willing to give up electrons. So what they do is they share them instead. Here, if these little red circles are the nuclei of two different atoms, here the yellow circle is an electron that they're sharing. If the electron is out here, these both are going to be attracted to it, but it's going to be a lot more stable if what's being shared is exactly between them. And so this electron being shared between the two nuclei is what causes a covalent bond. It causes those atoms to stay together. When atoms are covalently bonded together, that's a molecule. And those compounds are called molecular compounds. Sometimes you see them called covalent compounds, but molecular compounds. So we've got molecular compounds, ionic compounds. Okay, that slide was a bit of a mess. Any questions?